should that roof have been secure, period.
That building in particular has a sloped roof at its highest point. And so, there's a safety factor that would be considered there, that we wouldn't want to put somebody up on a sloped roof. And so, the decision was made to secure the building from inside.
Yes, that's, it's a slope on the roof. It's too scary. And apparently she's fielding a lot of DEI hires. I can't go on the roof. I've got my spiked heel pumps on today. And those are the men she hires. That's the woman was brought back by Joe Biden. She has resigned now as director of the Secret Service. But she said, well, the roof, there's a slope on the roof. You can't go up there. It's too scary. Very scary stuff. She's gone now, but she was brought back in. She had left the Secret Service. And it was, according to the New York Times today, very proudly declaring it was Joe Biden, but really it was Jill Biden that brought her back into the Secret Service because she's a lady. And it's better if you have ladies in charge of, heavily armed federal law enforcement agencies. Ms. Cheadle, Kimberly A. Cheadle, she joined the Secret Service in 1995, but she left in 2021, which is a long time later, to become the lead of the North American security operations for PepsiCo. They make a soft beverage called Pepsi, and they make snacks, other snacks too. But she came back to the agency just a year later in 2022 after President Biden asked her to serve as its director. So just a year in corporate America and then back, but this time with a big promotion as director. And here we are in 2024. Heck of a job, Cheadle, I got to say. Look what you've done to the reputation of the agency that you took over. Honestly, it's like what the Democrats have done to the FBI, which had a sterling reputation for forever and ever, unless you're a radical lefty. But now they've blown up the reputation of the FBI. And then you got penitentiary face Brennan and all those crooks at the request of the Biden campaign in 2020. You may recall it was Antony Blinken, who was then with the Biden campaign, that instigated that whole intelligence operation that they ran against the American people, the disinformation operation. The 51 signatories to the Hunter Biden's laptop had all the earmarks of Russian disinformation, a Russian information operation. In reality, that letter had all the earmarks of a Russian information operation, and it was successful. They ran it against the United States of America, and they tampered in our presidential election, and all of that is just fine. Now, that was Kimberly Cheadle saying, well, God, we didn't have anybody on the roof of that building where the sniper was because it was too scary. It's a sloped roof and stuff. And there was a fun moment this morning. I was watching the television news for you in the 5 a.m. hour, and a Republican Congressman, Carlos Jimenez from Florida, he was asked about this sloped roof thing, and he had a pretty good answer that I wanted to share with you.
There's no slant to that roof. It's maybe a 10-degree slope. The roof in my house is way, way steeper, and I get on that all the time. I'm 70 years old. Had no problem getting on the roof, no problem standing on the roof, no problem, running around the roof. So that was a total made-up lie by the Secret Service director, and that's why she has to go.
Total made-up lie by the Secret Service director, and that's why she has to go. And now this guy, Congressman Jimenez, is a pretty interesting guy. He says 70 years old. He's on his roof all the time with a much greater slant slope than the roof in question. Now, it turns out he's a former police officer and SWAT team member. He's a former fire chief. The guy's got some background. And, he's like, yeah, I'm up on the roof all the time. Not a thing for me. Don't worry about it. Amazing, amazing stuff. Let's go to President Trump, because President Trump did an interview I believe he sat down with Jesse Watters on Saturday. They ran a couple of clips on Sunday. And last night on Jesse Watters' show on the Fox News channel, they had the interview that Jesse did with President Trump. And one of the questions that President Trump was asked by Jesse Watters is, the director of the Secret Service, and, this was before yesterday's hearing because it was on Saturday, and President Trump was asked about the director, Ms. Kimberly Cheadle.
You spoke to Cheadle. How'd that go?
She came to see me, actually. And, it went very nicely. She was very nice, I thought. But, somebody should have made sure there was nobody on that roof. That roof was a dead aim right onto the stage. And they said they didn't have the manpower for it, which is crazy.
Now, here's another element in all of this. The news broke a week ago, or actually, it was being reported before President Trump was shot in Pennsylvania, that the Trump campaign had requested additional Secret Service protection, additional personnel, and that the Secret Service and Kim Cheadle and the Biden administration denied President Trump additional Secret Service protection, denied again and again. And the news media and the Democrats, but I repeat myself, wagged their fingers and yelled and scoffed and said that's just another wild conspiracy theory that Trump was denied additional Secret Service protection. And then we learned that it wasn't a conspiracy theory. It was, in fact, true that the Trump campaign had requested additional Secret Service and had been denied additional Secret Service again and again. And now they say, well, we just didn't have enough personnel to put with President Trump. Isn't that amazing? And it was another one of those conspiracy theories that turned out to be the truth. And the Democrats yell at you that it's conspiracy theory, that Joe Biden's brain, she's a broke. You're peddling a wild-eyed conspiracy theory. While the Democrats were working behind the scenes, the Politburo was to undermine President Biden because they knew that his brain is broke. And they set him up by pushing him to do the debate with President Trump. And President Trump played it beautifully, the debate. He let Joe Biden talk and bury himself. He didn't interrupt. He stood there and let the questions be asked and let Joe Biden dig his own grave. And the Democrats set him up to do that. So many conspiracy theories that keep coming true. Isn't that amazing? Yes, it is. All right, and let's go to back to President Trump. Again, the roof. The roof was too steep. It was too scary for Secret Service men.
Somebody gave her false information when she talked about the slope of the roof. How does a situation happen where a roof that's plainly in sight from the location where I was speaking, why would somebody not have seen that?
Yeah, it's and this is a question that Kim Cheadle was invited up to Capitol Hill yesterday to answer. She chose not to answer any questions. She punted. She passed the buck. She put it off on the FBI. Their reputation is already beep. So let's let them give it to Mikey. Mikey lead anything. Jesse Watters.
No one told you not to take the stage?
No, nobody mentioned it. Nobody said there was a problem.
No, nobody said don't take the stage. Nobody said there was a problem. There's communication, the radios, and they're talking. Now, a lot of this stuff, it reminds me of, I think it was Alexander Pope, a little learning is a dangerous thing. Drink deep from the Pierian well or taste not. For shallow draughts there intoxicate the brain and drinking largely sobers us again. That's my, off the top of my head, of Alexander Pope's essay on criticism, I think. But this is one of those situations where we talk to Secret Service professionals, and they'll be able to answer a lot of these questions for you. There is a suspicious individual reported. Well, and I talked about this yesterday at a big outdoor event with thousands of people and a president, or a former president, you're likely in every instance to have at least one suspicious individual reported. Because in a big crowd of people, when you're trying to protect someone from lunatics, somebody's going to look like a lunatic in the crowd. And they protectee has the inner circle of federal agents, Secret Service, and the guys and women in business suits and ties and so on. And then you have an additional layer of the counter sniper teams, and you have a counter assault team, goes with the motorcades and so on. And then outside of that circle, you have the local police, and in this case, local police, county police, and state highway patrol police for the outer perimeter. Now, there, I assume, will be a lengthy investigation. In fact, Kim Cheadle talked about it yesterday. Oh, it'll be 60 days. We'll get back in 60 days. Yeah, sure we will. Then you extend that, and when's the election again? When's the Democratic convention again? All that stuff. Man. The Mediaite reporting NBC News slammed GOP for promoting conspiracy theory that Biden would be replaced by Democrat elites months before it happened. And for how long have I been talking about this? For a very long time. And now the story is out. NBC News now being mocked, and rightly so, because they attacked Republicans for promoting what they called a conspiracy theory, saying that Joe Biden would be replaced by the Democrat Party elites. Now, today, the New York Post, the most relevant newspaper in the United States of America by a long shot, that, they were the ones who were cut off by, and the FBI was involved in that, calling Facebook and Twitter before the 2020 election and before Elon Musk had bought it, and saying, well, don't let people share this New York Post reporting on the Hunter Biden laptop, because that's Russian disinformation. And then the person who is now our Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, was then with the Biden campaign. He's the guy who organized the intelligence officials to create that fake letter that was propaganda. It was an information operation. It corrupted our presidential election, and they should be in handcuffs for what they did. But now, Mediaite left-wingers there reporting what NBC News called a conspiracy theory less than a year ago has come to pass. President Joe Biden is being replaced at the top of the Democratic ticket. Last October, under the headline, Republicans float a quiet conspiracy theory that Biden won't be on the ballot. And Matt Dixon, Dasha Burns, Alex Tabbitt, they all wrote that the unfounded conversation among a faction of the political right that goes something like this. Democratic power brokers will intervene at the last minute to replace a weakened 80-year-old, now he's 81, 80-year-old Biden with someone else as the party's nominee. Now, I was saying this before all this happened, and when you said this out loud, they attacked you for it. They accused you of peddling conspiracy theories and being a nut. And of course, they were the lion sacks of Jewia over here, peddling the conspiracy theory. And the conspiracy theory is that people like me were making it up. How did I know it to be true? Well, I read the tea leaves a lot better than the people at NBC fake news. The idea, they write, NBC News, the idea centered largely on the thought that Biden is too old and not sharp enough mentally, is that there's a secret plan to replace Biden due to his health or other reasons by amorphous Illuminati-type forces within the Democratic Party. This is not a mainstream thought within the Republican Party, but it has maintained a persistent foothold among a relevant chunk of the GOP base, taking their cues from some party officials who continue to toy with the idea. So another conspiracy theory brought to life thanks to the Democrat Party and a corrupt news media, a lazy, intellectually lazy, journalistically lazy, not very intelligent news media. They sleep with each other, but they don't report on each other. You know that the financial world is a very different place today than it was not so long ago. Time to consider how you're going to adapt. We just saw a seismic shift happen in the global financial world when Saudi Arabia announced that they may exit the petrodollar system. Now, for the last 75 years, the petrodollar system has helped to maintain the U.S. dollar as the world's reserve currency. But that era may be over now with Saudi Arabia's big announcement. In times of major economic upheaval, a lot of investors look to diversify with tangible assets like gold. Gold, with its history as a safe harbor and in tumultuous times, it's what investors look for when they look for stability and growth potential in turbulent times. That's why I recommend that you call Advantage Gold. At Advantage Gold, they're the experts in precious metals, can help guide you through these crazy, uncertain times. Give them a call today. Get smart. Call 844-368-9797. You're going to get a 100% free 2024 gold and silver guide. Plus, mention this ad and you may qualify for a $1,300 bonus. The financial landscape has already changed. It's turning to liquid. Make sure that you are prepared. Write this number down now, 844-368-9797. That's 844-368-9797. Performance may vary. You should always consult your financial and tax professional. Yeah, another perfectly good conspiracy theory shot to hell because turned out to be true again. The left cannot be trusted. I'm starting to believe that people on the left lie a lot. Have you noticed that too? So much news. So much news dropping through the ceiling tiles. Joe Biden will allegedly address an anxious nation tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time from his iron lung. We're not sure, maybe from Delaware. Will they fly him back for an Oval Office address? Nobody knows for sure. But we're just learning now that Joe Biden will allegedly address the nation tomorrow night, Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. That would be 5 o'clock on the West Coast for Democrats trying to figure out what that means. And let me just share this with you. Trending for a few moments, you know how these things happen, trending on Twitter and all that, that Jimmy Carter died. And it turns out that it is apparently a false report. Jimmy Carter is not actually dead, but somebody got the rumor going. And you know how the internet is. The rumor that Jimmy Carter has died, apparently not true. He's still not doing very well, however. His doctors would advise caution at this point. And from last night, Jimmy Carter's grandson, Jason, praises Biden's decision to endorse Harris. And they're telling us Jimmy Carter would be proud of Biden and Harris. That's that's not really much of an endorsement, but it's the best you can get when you're a Democrat, I suppose. So Jimmy Carter, not dead at this hour. All right, we have an update for you. The Joe Biden address to an anxious nation scheduled for tomorrow night at 8 p.m., Wednesday night, 8 p.m., will allegedly be from the Oval Office. It's an office shaped like an oval. And Joe Biden will come back from Delaware, where he has been in the throes of the Wuhan. He's had the Wu. And that's not good because he's had so many vaccines and boosters and stuff that, according to him, he should be completely immune to all of this stuff. But he's not, because he's wrong about everything. Just name something, Joe Biden's wrong about it. He's been wrong about everything for decades and decades. That's who Joe Biden is. I am telling you. So, Joe Biden, now Kamala, she yesterday went from Washington after she was named the, what should we call her, the president designee? There's got to be some sort of a third world title we could give her. Oh, and there's a big push on today to say she was never the border czar. Yeah, mean Republicans called her the border czar. We didn't call her the border czar. They're trying to scrub her reputation. They're trying furiously, and I talked about this even last week, I think. if they're going to use her, and that's the correct word, if they're going to use her, they're going to have to clean up her reputation because her reputation is not good. And that's why Barack Obama, last time I looked, has still not endorsed her as the replacement. But there are headlines all over the place today about how Kamala Harris was never the border czar. The Wall Street Journal. Was Kamala Harris actually Biden's, quote, border czar? End quote. And the answer is no. They're telling us no, she wasn't the border czar. Breaking down Kamala Harris's role at the border during Biden administration. Local news stations all over the country, they're cleaning it up. They're trying to scrub it everywhere. No, VP Kamala Harris was never named border czar. She was never named the border czar. See? And they're headline after headline, and they're all in the last couple of hours. And in fact, Jed Johnson, who was one of the crooks in the the Obama-Biden crooked administration, Jed was on Morning Joke this morning.
Fox and Friends.
Oh, I apologize. On Fox and Friends this morning, not in Morning Joke. And they've sent Jed Johnson out to go around and try to scrub Kamala Harris's reputation because it's so awful and her poll numbers are so terrible that, now they're going to have to sabotage her. Won't they look silly then? Here's Jed Johnson. They're going to try to clean up and rehabilitate, or perhaps just habilitate, Kamala Harris's awful, terrible reputation.
Well, first of all, border czar, the title,
right,
is the title the Republicans gave her.
Yeah.
The White House, the president did
What do
not
you
give
call
her
her
that.
then?
She assumed the role that Vice President Biden had during the Obama administration, which is diplomacy with Central America. That is a role he had. He gave it to her. She is not the border czar. To the extent
he gave it to her.
There's anybody who's a border czar, it's the Secretary of Homeland Security.
Oh, we didn't, but he's the border czarina. That's a different thing altogether. Yeah, so the headlines all over the country now. Kamala Harris never named border czar. What Joe Biden did say about her, introducing her and passing the buck to her, or the torch. Democrats love torches for, the Klan and burning stuff.
I've asked her, the VP, today, because she's the most qualified person to do it, to lead our efforts with Mexico and the Northern Triangle and the countries that help. We're going to need help in stemming the movement of so many folks, stemming the migration to our southern border.
But he didn't say the words border czar. They should have asked Bernie Sanders. He'd name her this, and it should be czarina anyway. It's sexist to call her a czar. However, the Democrats are all gender fluid now, so I guess it doesn't make a lot of sense. It doesn't make a lot of difference, rather. But why Republicans keep calling Kamala Harris the border czar. That's 5 days ago. They're all on the same page. They all get their downloads. They plug an RJ11 jack into their necks at night, and the satellite goes over, pumps their tiny little squirrel brains full of the Democrat Party talking points. So that's their new push. Because they recognize that the border's been a disaster. So now with, how many? 8 million, 10 million illegal aliens, violent gangs from Venezuela, from all over the world, from Central Asia, got people on the terror watch list up the yin-yang. And the Democrats now see this as the label border czar as a potential political vulnerability to their presidential candidate of the day, the de jure presidential candidate who may or may not continue to be once the convention rolls around and beyond. Barack Obama still hasn't given his wink and nod, but they recognize that if she's the border czar, that will be used against her in political ads. And God forbid she has a debate. Is she going to be the nominee? Will she debate Donald Trump on the debate stage as the Republican nominee? And Kamala is going to be the nominee. So they're going to let her debate, because that could be a bigger disaster than the Biden disaster at the debate with Trump, which the Democrat oligarchs, the Democrat Politburo, set Joe Biden up to fall through the trap, fall into the manhole. Now, let's go. So, but if you Google it, Kamala borders are, the Democrat Party has snapped their fingers, and hundreds of media organizations across the nation have come up with their headlines. Oh, she was never the border czar, because they don't want her to take the fall, take the blame for the rapes and murders of Rachel Morin and Laken Riley and Ruby Garcia and untold legions of people murdered and attacked by all the illegal aliens and the gangs that the Democrats waved into the country, and more than 100,000 fatal drug overdoses per year, thanks to the Democrat Party. But let's go to the next part of this, because Kamala Harris, while they're trying to scrub the border czar title off of her, she went to Delaware yesterday, and she had a political event. And while she was at the political event, Joe Biden, barely alive Joe, phoned it in, as he's been doing for so long. So here is Kamala Harris in Delaware. On the New York Times headline, Biden vows to campaign hard for Harris. He couldn't campaign hard for anybody or anything. And Biden in the New York Times headline saying, quote, "I'm not going anywhere." That's the actual headline. That's kind of weird. I'm not going. Then it says, thump. All right, it doesn't really say that in the New York Times. I just added that. So another headline, Fox News, Biden makes bizarre call into Harris headquarters hours after dropping out of race. So Biden addresses decision to drop out of the 2024 race via phone call to Harris campaign headquarters. President Joe Biden Monday made his first public comment since announcing his withdrawal from the presidential race a day earlier during a phone call into the headquarters of Vice President Kamala Harris, who he endorsed following the announcement. Speaking to campaign staffers in Wilmington, Delaware, Kamala Harris acknowledged that the past day had been a roller coaster. Roller coaster. Oh, yeah. All right, so let's go to Kamala having her little TV event, and they're trying to make her sound intelligent. And oh, no, her laughter is good and wholesome. She's not a cackling buffoon. So Kamala Harris at her campaign headquarters, she's the Democrat nominee now. She didn't have to go through the primary process, and she got thousands of delegates. She didn't have to go to a fundraiser, and she got $100 million in donations in one day because the Democrats condemn money in politics, except their money in their politics, because everything they say out loud is a lie, and when they sit there silently, they're just lying in peace. Kamala Harris.
It is my great honor to have Joe's endorsement in this race. And it is my intention to go out and earn this nomination and to win.
Woo! Somebody said woo. Republicans say woo a lot less frequently than Democrats. Democrats say woo much more often. It's got something to do with hormone levels, I think. Quite possibly. Oh, speaking of which, to see the Elon Musk story. Elon Musk has a whole bunch of kids by a whole bunch of different women. And I just got me going on Elon Musk because it sounds so transgender. Musk says trans child was figuratively killed by the woke mind virus. Vows to destroy it. Quote, "My son is dead," end quote. Elon Musk said he wasn't informed that puberty blockers are actually just sterilization drugs when he was tricked into giving consent. He was tricked into giving consent with one of his kids at a very chic California school where all the Hollywood elites send their kids, and they turn the boys into girls and the girls into boys. So he had a son who now says that he's a daughter, and Elon Musk was doing an interview with Jordan Peterson and started talking about it. And he said that he's got named his son Xavier, who now goes by Vivian. Vivian is Vivian. Here's my son, Vivian, and he, who goes by Vivian Jenna, also dropped the last name Musk and calls himself Wilson. Last name Vivian Jenna Wilson is his son, because I'm sure he still wants the money, though. You know, the money, keep the money coming, because, I went to a very exclusive, chic school in California where they, send your son's genitalia to you in the mail. Because, all right, let's get back to Wilmington, Delaware yesterday. Kamala Harris, the apparent Democrat nominee, now that is she still a she? I'm not entirely sure. Man. But I was sharing this with you earlier that she now has 2,668 delegates in one day. All you need is 1,976. And she's got all these delegates, 2,007, and nobody voted for her. There were no primary elections. They murdered democracy. But in order to save it, because they're saving democracy, they just had to kill it in order to save it. Just amazing stuff, isn't it? And $100 million in donations. Kamala Harris, major fundraising. Not a single fundraiser. The money just rolled in. This is a criminal organization. The RICO statutes are being violated all over the place. Just amazing. One day after Joe Biden drops out, $100 million, and they condemn money in politics. They couldn't be bigger hypocrites if their goal were to be bigger hypocrites. Wow. And she announced yesterday, very, very excited, I am proud to have secured the broad support needed to become our party's nominee. And it was done Soviet style, total Soviet Union, right? I look forward to formally accepting the nomination soon. She didn't say at the convention, right? Because they don't need a convention. They'll just phone it in. They'll do a Zoom call. Over the next few months, I'll be traveling across the country, talking to Americans about everything on the line. I fully intend to unite our party and our nation, sure, and defeat Donald Trump, sure. Well, and more snipers out there, what, $100 million. Tonight, I am proud to have earned the support needed to become our party's nominee. And it just happened like that, man. Isn't that amazing? Kamala in Wilmington, Delaware.
It is so good to hear our president's voice.
Cackle.
Joe, I know you're still on the call, and we've been talking every day. You guys heard it from Doug's voice. We love Joe and Jill. We really do. They truly are like family to us.
Jill hates her.
And we do. Everybody here does.
It's mutual.
I knew you were still there. You're not going anywhere, Joe.
I'm watching you, kid. I'm watching you, kid. I love you.
I love you, Joe.
The reports are that Jill Biden really doesn't like Kamala at all. And her husband is a Jew, I think. They've got to protest him. They got to hate him. They got to chant from the river to the sea. They got to protest outside the vice president's residence, I think. So Joe Biden phoned it in, and listen, he sounds maybe a little better than Jimmy Carter at this point.
So let me be real clear. We're still fighting in this fight together. I'm not going anywhere. And I want you to know you've always had my back, and I promise you, I will always have your back. And I'm anxious for you all to hear from Kamala.
Boom. Joe Biden, he knows how very good.
He who is valiant and pure of spirit may find the Holy Grail in the castle of...
Joe Biden, he phoned it in to Kamala's event, and did he croak? I don't know. Don't want to be... Just amazing stuff. By the way, the Washington Post headline, GOP eyes legal challenges as Harris assumes control of Biden's war chest. Several campaign finance lawyers aligned with Republicans argue that the campaign does not have the legal authority to do that. Just give her all the money. And that the maneuver is all but certain to be challenged before the Federal Election Commission or in a court of law. Listen, the laws don't apply to the Democrats. Rules, campaign finance rules and laws do not apply. Don't you know who they are? They're the Politburo. They just gave Kamala all the delegates. They just gave her all the money. It's all illegal, but that's fine. The Washington Post is here to defend the lawlessness, the illegality. They're here to give a tongue bath to their candidate, whoever it may be. If it changes again next week, then they'll just roll with it and adapt.
What? The castle of...
Senator Chris Coons, who's not a smart man, not an honest man, he's a Democrat senator, and he was asked what was Kamala Harris's greatest accomplishment as Vice President of the United States?
Do you think has been Vice President Harris's biggest accomplishment as Vice President?
Well, look, I think she's done remarkable work across several important areas. Something that I think hasn't gotten much coverage is her passion for entrepreneurship, for wealth creation, for securing and stabilizing the middle class.
Yeah, but what has she done?
She's traveled around the country to meet with small business.
She did that? Brett Baer is like, she did that? What do you like? Capitalism and America having borders from the Atlantic to the Pacific, and she did that. She did that. Let's go to 1988 when Joe Biden was just a middle-aged politician. He was running for president in 1988. I'm sorry, I got to go to Dave Letterman now from 1988.
Here we go. It's our top 10 list tonight. Top 10 reasons Joe Biden dropped out of the race. What was the deal on this guy, by the way? These Democrats seem to keep shooting themselves in the foot, don't they?
Whatever they do, they do.
Here we go. Top 10 reasons Joe Biden dropped out of the race. Number 10, to promote his new album, Bad. Number 9, plans to spend more time with his imaginary coal miner relatives. Number 8, he accidentally delivered Nixon's resignation speech. Number 7, realized he didn't have a chance against the Gebhardt juggernaut. Number 6, his term paper business is really taking off. Number 5, could not pronounce Ich bin ein Berliner. Number 4, finally got tickets for Last Leg of Dead tour. Number 3, decided to run for presidency of the Hair Club for Men. Number 2, the new monkeys are on TV now and a man has just so much time. Number 1, wants to chase skirts full time with Gary Hart.